My girlfriend of 5 years looked me in the eyes and chose her sister's lie over 5 years of everything we built. One phone call. My girlfriend's younger sister accused me of SA. I got expelled from university, fired, and isolated. 9 months later, the truth came out and suddenly everyone's sorry, but I am done. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now, let's start the video. Hey, Reddit. So, this happened a few years ago, but I really need to get this off my chest. I was falsely accused just because I refused to cross a line. That wasn't the worst part. My parents didn't believe me. My girlfriend of 5 years blocked me everywhere and sided with her sister without even hearing me out. I lost everything. But 9 months later, the truth came out in a way no one saw coming. Here's what went down. I, 24 male, met my ex-girlfriend, Caddy, 24, female, sophomore year of high school. Started as lab partners in chemistry. Ended up dating 3 months later. By the time we graduated, we were that couple everyone assumed would get married someday, 5 years together, and I never once thought about being with anyone else. Our families meshed perfectly. Her dad, Steve, was the mechanical type, always rebuilding engines in his garage and teaching me stuff my own dad never could. I remember the first time he showed me how to rebuild a carburetor on his '67 Camaro. Took us an entire Saturday, but by the end of it, I knew more about cars than I'd learned in 16 years from my father. Her mom, Diane, treated me like another son, always making sure I took home leftovers and calling to check on me during exam weeks. My parents were the same with Caddy. Mom would take her shopping, and my dad helped her pick out her first car, a used Honda Civic with low mileage that he negotiated down by $1,500. We had holiday traditions, vacation spots, inside jokes, all the stuff that comes from being together through those formative years. We'd spend Thanksgiving with my family, Christmas Eve with hers. Every summer, both families would rent cabins at Lake Mitchell for a week. By junior year, Caddy had her own designated seat at our dinner table, and I had mine at hers. We went to the same university state, about 2 hours from our hometown. It wasn't planned that way initially. She was considering coastal about 5 hours south. But when I got a partial scholarship to state for computer science, and she got accepted to their education program, ranked 3rd in the country, it just made sense. We didn't live together. She was in the education dorm. I was in tech housing. But we saw each other daily, had the same friend group, studied at the same coffee shops, and planned our future together. Our lives were completely intertwined. Her younger sister, Amy, was always on the periphery of our relationship. 3 years younger than us, she was just entering high school when Caddy and I were heading to college. At first, she was just the annoying little sister, always wanting to tag along. She'd interrupt our movie nights, accidentally walk in when we were making out and ask a million questions about college during dinner. Standard little sister stuff. But something changed when she hit about 16. It was subtle, but definite. The first time I noticed it was at Caddy's family barbecue the summer after our freshman year of college. Amy kept finding reasons to brush against me when she walked by. She'd ask me to help her get stuff from high shelves. Even though her dad was taller than me, she'd wear these short shorts and bend over right in front of me to look for something in the cooler. I didn't think much of it. Figured it was just teenage awkwardness. Then it escalated. She started texting me directly, innocent at first, asking about homework or what Caddy might want for her birthday. But it shifted to more personal stuff. How her boyfriend didn't understand her. How guys her age were so immature. How she wished she could find someone like me. I showed Caddy some of the texts trying to be transparent. She laughed it off. She's always had a little crush on you. It's harmless. It didn't feel harmless when Amy started showing up to parties she was too young for because she knew I'd be there. Or when she'd accidentally walk in on me changing at their house. Or when she'd wear increasingly revealing clothes around me. I started avoiding their house when I knew Amy would be home alone. Started making excuses to skip family events. Caddy noticed and we fought about it a few times. You're being weird about my sister, she'd say. She's just a kid. But Amy wasn't just a kid. It happened in October of our junior year of college. I was doing well. 3.8 GPA, part-time job at a tech startup that was grooming me for full-time after graduation. The company was paying me $22 an hour to develop UI components, almost unheard of for an undergrad intern. My boss had already hinted at a $75,000 starting salary after graduation with stock options. I was even saving for an engagement ring, planning to propose after graduation the following year. Had about $4,800 stashed away in a separate account Caddy didn't know about. Caddy was at a weekend teaching conference in Chicago. She was studying elementary education. The conference was a big deal. Only 5 students from state were selected to attend. She'd been preparing for weeks, making contacts with principals and district administrators who could help her land a good position after graduation. We'd talked about settling in the Riverside district, where starting teacher salaries were $52,000, and housing was still affordable. I wasn't planning to go to her parents' house that weekend, but Steve called Friday afternoon asking if I could help him install some storage shelves in the garage. Said his back was acting up and he could use an extra set of hands. He'd bought some heavy-duty steel shelving from Harbor Freight, the kind rated for 1,500 pounds per shelf. I'd always gotten along great with Steve, so I didn't hesitate. Headed over around 6 o'clock p.m., and we spent a few hours mounting the shelving units. Finished up around 9 o'clock and he offered me a sandwich and a soda before I headed out. Diane was at her sister's for the weekend, so it was just us and Amy in the house. I was halfway to my car when Amy came running out the front door. "Wait. My laptop is acting weird and I have a huge paper due Monday. Can you look at it real quick?" Steve was right there and said, "Yeah, help her out before you go. You're good with that computer stuff." So, I followed her back inside. She led me to the kitchen table where her laptop was set up. The issue was simple. Just needed to clear her browser cache and restart. Took maybe 10 minutes. As I was getting up to leave, Amy moved into my path. "Thanks so much," she said, standing way too close. "You're always so helpful." I stepped back. "No problem. Tell your dad I said goodnight." She stepped forward again. He went to take a shower. "We're alone down here." She put her hand on my chest and looked up at me with this practiced expression. I'm sure she thought was seductive. "Amy, don't," I said, removing her hand. "This isn't appropriate." "Why not? I'm 18 now. It's not like it's illegal or anything because I'm with your sister. I love your sister." She moved even closer, backing me against the counter. "She doesn't have to know. I've seen how you look at me." "What?" "I don't look at you anyway except as my girlfriend's sister. This needs to stop." That's when she tried to kiss me. I turned my head and pushed her shoulders to create space between us. "Back off. This is never going to happen." Her face changed instantly. The flirty smile disappeared, replaced by something cold and hard. "You think you're too good for me? That I'm just some stupid kid? This isn't about you. It's about me and Caddy. 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 That's all anyone in this family talks about. Perfect Caddy with her perfect boyfriend and perfect future. It makes me sick." I grabbed my keys from the table. "I'm leaving. Don't talk about this again." As I walked out, she called after me. "You're such a jerk. You'll regret this." I drove home thinking she was just embarrassed and lashing out. I even felt bad for her in a way. Planned to talk to Caddy when she got back. Figure out a way to deal with the situation. I had no idea what was coming. My roommate, Tyler, woke me up the next morning. "Dude, your phone's been blowing up for like an hour. Someone's trying really hard to reach you." I grabbed my phone from the charger. 17 missed calls. Texts from Caddy, her parents, my parents, mutual friends. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through them. "How could you call us now? What the hell is wrong with you?" I called Caddy first. She answered on the first ring. Her voice thick with tears. "Caddy, what's going on? Like you don't know. How could you? Marcus with my sister in my parents' house." My blood ran cold. "Whatever Amy told you, it's not true. Nothing happened. She showed us everything. The texts from you, the bruises on her wrists. She told us how you've been coming on to her for months. How last night you forced yourself on her when Dad was in the shower. That's insane." I fixed her laptop and left. She tried to kiss me, and I turned her down. "That's it. Stop lying." She has proof. The texts. Marcus. The texts you've been sending her for months. What the heck? I never sent her anything inappropriate ever. I saw them with my own eyes. Messages asking her to meet you, telling her what you want to do to her. They came from your number. They're fake. She must have faked them somehow. And I suppose she faked the bruises, too. The ones in the shape of fingerprints on her wrists. The bruise on her back from where you pushed her against the counter. My mind was racing. Yes. That's exactly what she did. I can't believe I ever trusted you. Her voice was ice cold now. "Don't call me again. Don't text me. Don't try to contact me or anyone in my family. My dad's filing a police report right now." She hung up. I immediately tried calling back straight to voicemail. I texted her. "Please let me explain. This is a huge misunderstanding. I would never do this." No response. I threw on clothes and was heading to my car when my phone rang. It was my mom. "Marcus, where are you? I'm going to Caddy's to straighten this out." "No, you're not. You're coming home right now." "Mom, I didn't do anything wrong. Just come home. We'll figure this out." I drove to my parents' house in a daze. When I got there, both my parents were waiting at the kitchen table, faces grim. "What exactly happened last night?" My dad asked without preamble. I told them everything. The shelves, the laptop, Amy's advances, me turning her down. They listened silently. My dad sighed. "Steve showed me the texts, son. They go back months. They're pretty graphic. They're not from me. She must have used some app to fake them. And the bruises? I never touched her. She must have done it to herself. My parents exchanged a look I'll never forget. Part concern, part doubt, part disappointment. The police want to talk to you, my dad said finally. I told Steve we'd bring you to the station ourselves. The police interrogation lasted 6 hours. Detective Reynolds, mid-50s with salt and pepper hair and zero patience, showed me printouts of texts, supposedly from my number to Amy's, sexually explicit messages going back 5 months. Photos I'd never seen before, edited to look like Amy and I were together. These aren't mine, I kept saying. I swear I never sent these. I never took these pictures. They didn't believe me. Reynolds kept hammering the same points. Why would she make this up? How did these messages come from your number? Why did you go to the house when you knew she'd be there? I tried explaining that her dad had called me for help, that I'd been avoiding Amy for months because of her inappropriate behavior. Reynolds just scribbled notes and exchanged looks with the female officer in the room. By the end of the day, I was formally charged with sexual assault of a minor. Amy had just turned 18, but some of the fake texts were dated before her birthday. They added charges of electronic solicitation of a minor and sexual harassment. My parents posted the $50,000 bail. The conditions: no contact with Amy or anyone in the Clark family, surrender my passport, wear an ankle monitor, and observe a strict curfew. I was allowed to go home with my parents, but the nightmare was just beginning. State University didn't wait for a conviction. They suspended me pending a disciplinary hearing on October 27th, but that was just a formality. The outcome was predetermined. Dr. Chambers, the head of the disciplinary committee, had already made public statements about protecting students and zero tolerance. I was expelled the following week, my scholarships revoked. The tech startup fired me the same day they heard about the charges. My boss, Mark, who'd been mentoring me for over a year, didn't even call personally. HR sent an email terminating my employment, effective immediately. My keycard access was deactivated. My company laptop was remotely wiped and I was told to ship it back in the prepaid box they'd send. My bank froze my accounts due to an investigation, which meant I couldn't even access the $4,800 I'd saved for Caddy's ring. Friends disappeared overnight. People I'd known since elementary school suddenly couldn't remember my name. Social media became a war zone. Half my notifications were death threats, the other half just people unfriending me. Caddy blocked me everywhere, changed her phone number. Her friends, who had been my friends too, posted long statements about standing with victims and cutting toxic people out. Photos of me were removed from their Instagram feeds, as if I'd never existed. My sister, Grace, was the only one in my immediate family who believed me without question. Amy's always been obsessed with you, she said, always asking me questions about you, trying to get me to show her your old yearbook photos. It was weird. My parents tried to be supportive, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. They got me a lawyer, Dave Hoffman, paid my bail, let me move back home. But they also set rules. I couldn't leave the house after 8 p.m. Couldn't have friends over. Had to share my location with them at all times. My dad started most conversations with, "If there's anything you're not telling us." My mom cried constantly. They never directly accused me, but they didn't fully believe me either. The financial impact was immediate and devastating. I lost my tuition for that semester, $14,300, no refunds for expelled students. Lost my housing deposit, $1,800. Had to pay for a criminal defense lawyer, which drained my savings in about 3 days. Dave's retainer was $10,000, and he estimated the total cost could hit $50,000, depending on whether we went to trial. I couldn't get a job. Nobody wants to hire someone facing SA charges. I tried gig work, but the ankle monitor made that nearly impossible. My parents covered my legal fees, but reminded me constantly how much it was costing them. They'd planned to use that money to help Grace with college next year. Now they were talking about second mortgages and cashing out retirement funds. The isolation was suffocating. People I'd known my whole life, teachers, neighbors, family, friends, all looked at me differently, like I was something dangerous, damaged. Best case, they avoided me. Worst case, they left threatening notes on my parents' porch or shouted things when I walked by. The only people who stood by me without question were Tyler, my former roommate, and surprisingly Caddy's cousin, Megan. Megan called me about 2 weeks after everything blew up. "I don't believe any of this," she said without preamble. "Amy's been jealous of Caddy forever, and she's always had a thing for you. She makes up stories all the time." "Like, what kind of stories?" I asked, desperate for anything that might help my case. "Like when she was 15, she told everyone she was dating this college sophomore who turned out to be completely made up. She even showed people texts from him that she'd clearly written herself. And last year, she claimed her math teacher was hitting on her. But it turned out he just gave her a bad grade and she wanted to get him fired. It helped to have someone from Caddy's family on my side, but it didn't change my situation. The prosecutor was pushing for maximum penalties. Dave was already talking about plea deals. "I understand you don't want to consider it," he said during one of our strategy sessions. "But I need you to know what's on the table. First-time offender, you're looking at a 5 to 7 year sentence if convicted on all counts. The plea would drop it to 3 with possibility of parole after 18 months. I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do," I told him. "Keep fighting." Months passed and things only got worse. The preliminary hearings in November and December didn't go well. Judge Patterson, a stern woman in her 60s, seemed predisposed to believe Amy. Dave kept trying to get the text evidence thrown out, arguing they could have been falsified, but without proof of tampering, the judge allowed them. Amy's testimony in the January hearing was devastating. She cried at all the right moments, looked vulnerable and scared. She described months of grooming, how I'd slowly pushed boundaries, made her feel special, and then threatened her. How I'd grabbed her wrists hard enough to bruise when she finally said no, pushed her against the counter when she tried to get away. She was a terrifyingly good liar. Watching her, I almost believed it myself. Tyler testified as a character witness for me, but he hadn't been there that night. Megan wanted to testify about Amy's history of lying, but her parents threatened to cut her off financially if she got involved. My sister spoke about Amy's weird obsession with me over the years, but the prosecution painted it as a schoolgirl crush that I'd exploited. By month 4, February, Dave was strongly recommending a plea deal. "The text evidence is damning," he said. "The physical evidence supports her story. Her testimony is compelling. If we go to trial and lose, you're looking at 5 to 10 years. Take the deal. 3 years, possibility of parole, after 18 months. I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do." I told him, "Keep fighting." But even I was losing hope. The trial was set for July, 9 months after the incident. I'd spent those months living like a prisoner in my parents' house. No job, no school, no friends, no future. Some days I didn't even get out of bed. Depression hit me hard. I stopped eating regularly, stopped showering sometimes. What was the point? My life as I knew it was over. Even if by some miracle I was acquitted, the damage was done. My reputation was destroyed. My career trajectory derailed. My relationship with Caddy, 5 years of my life gone in an instant. The worst part was knowing she was out there believing I was capable of this. That after 5 years together, she could think I would do something so horrible that she didn't even question it. Didn't even give me a chance to explain. In March, about 5 months in, I hit rock bottom. Came close to ending it all. Had it all planned out. Tyler showed up unexpectedly that day. Found me sitting on my bed staring at a bottle of pills. He stayed with me for 3 days straight, barely sleeping, making sure I was okay. "We're going to beat this," he kept saying. "Something will break. The truth always comes out." I didn't believe him, but I went through the motions, started showering again, eating regularly, going through the case files with Dave, looking for anything that might help. And then in April, we got our first real break. Dave had hired a digital forensics expert named Kevin to analyze the text messages. Kevin was expensive, $375 an hour, but worth every penny. After weeks of examination, he found inconsistencies in the metadata, timestamps that didn't align, formatting differences that suggested the text had been manipulated. "It's not definitive proof of tampering," Dave warned. "But it's enough to create reasonable doubt about the authenticity of the evidence." We filed a motion to have the text evidence reconsidered. The judge granted it reluctantly. The prosecutor argued that the inconsistencies were just technical glitches, not proof of falsification. She brought in the county's IT expert who testified that message metadata can sometimes appear irregular due to server syncing issues or app updates. But it was a crack in their case, a small one, but still. Around the same time, a girl named Olivia reached out to me through Tyler. She'd gone to high school with Amy, been friends with her briefly. Amy did something similar to my brother, she told me when we met at a coffee shop near campus. They worked at the same grocery store. She had a crush on him. He wasn't interested. She told everyone he groped her in the break room. Got him fired. He was lucky there were security cameras. Did she press charges? No. Just spread rumors. But it was the same pattern. She was obsessed with him. He rejected her. She retaliated. Olivia agreed to testify about Amy's history of false accusations. It wasn't much, but it was something. In May, 2 months before the trial, Megan called with news. "Amy's story is changing," she said. "I overheard her talking to my aunt. Some of the details are different now. The timeline. What exactly happened? I think she's worried about getting caught in inconsistencies." Dave filed for another discovery motion, requesting any new statements from Amy. The prosecution objected, but the judge ordered them to provide updated testimony. Sure enough, Amy's story had shifted. Now, she claimed I'd been grooming her for over a year, not just months. Said the assault happened in the kitchen and continued into the living room. Said I'd threatened her multiple times after that night, which is why she waited until the next day to tell anyone. "This is good for us," Dave said. Changing stories make for less credible witnesses, but we still had no smoking gun, no definitive proof that she was lying. The trial date was getting closer, and my future still hung in the balance. The summer crawled by. My ankle monitor chafed in the heat. My parents' house felt more like a prison with each passing day. The trial was set for July 17th, and as it approached, my anxiety spiraled. Dave was more optimistic than he'd been in months. The text evidence is questionable now. Her story is inconsistent. We've got character witnesses for you and testimony about her past behavior. It's not a slam dunk, but we've got a fighting chance. A week before the trial, I got an unexpected visitor. Caddy's dad, Steve, showed up at my parents' house. My dad answered the door and nearly slammed it in his face, but Steve begged for 5 minutes. They brought him to the backyard where I was sitting. He looked terrible. Didn't sit down. I need to ask you something, he said, his voice rough. Man to man, did you touch my daughter? I looked him straight in the eyes. No, sir. I never touched Amy inappropriately. I never sent her those texts. I never did any of the things she's accused me of. He studied my face for a long moment. There are some things that aren't adding up in her story. Things she said happened when they couldn't have. My heart raced. Like what? He shook his head. I can't discuss the details, but I needed to hear it from you directly. He left without another word. I told Dave about the visit immediately. This could be significant, Dave said. If her own father is having doubts, the jury might too. The day before the trial, the prosecutor called Dave with a new plea offer. 18 months. Possibility of parole. After 9 to be served in a minimum security facility. They're getting nervous. Dave said they know their case has weaknesses. I turned it down. After coming this far, I was going to see it through. Either I'd be exonerated or I'd go down fighting. The night before the trial, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my parents' back porch until dawn, watching the stars fade and thinking about how different my life should have been. I should have been heading into my senior year of college. Should have been planning a future with Caddy. Should have been working towards goals and dreams, not fighting to stay out of prison for something I didn't do. When the sun came up, I showered, put on the suit Dave had brought me, and prepared to face whatever came next. The courthouse was packed. Local media had picked up the story. Small-town college student accused of assaulting girlfriend's sister. People love that kind of drama when it's not happening to them. I saw Caddy for the first time in 9 months. She was sitting with her mother in the gallery behind the prosecutor. She didn't look at me. She'd lost weight, her cheekbones more prominent than I remembered. She kept twisting a tissue in her hands. Amy was there too, dressed conservatively, hair pulled back, looking young and vulnerable, the perfect victim. My stomach churned. She didn't look like someone carrying the weight of a massive lie. The trial began with opening statements. The prosecutor painted me as a predator who had used my relationship with Caddy to gain access to Amy, groomed her over time, then essayed her when she finally rejected me. Dave countered with the story of a jealous younger sister who had manufactured evidence and accusations after being rejected herself. The prosecution presented their evidence first. The texts. Photos of Amy's bruises, medical reports confirming the injuries were consistent with her story. Amy's tearful testimony, which she'd clearly rehearsed. She stumbled a few times when pressed on the inconsistencies in her story, but quickly recovered, claiming she'd been traumatized and confused about some details. During cross-examination, Dave focused on the changing timeline. In your initial statement to police, you said the assault occurred at approximately 9:30 p.m. Is that correct? Yes, around then. But in your revised statement from May, you said it started at 9:45 and continued until after 10 o'clock. Which is it? I told you I was traumatized. I didn't look at a clock during the assault. And in your first statement you said the incident occurred only in the kitchen, but later you added the living room. Why the change? I was trying to forget parts of it, but in therapy, I've been working on facing the whole truth. She had an answer for everything. Our turn came on the third day. Dave methodically dismantled the prosecution's case. He presented the digital forensics report, highlighting the metadata inconsistencies in the texts. He called Olivia, who testified about Amy's previous false accusation against her brother. He called Tyler and other character witnesses who spoke about my relationship with Caddy, my general behavior around women, my character. Olivia's brother, Jason, flew in from Arizona to testify. He described in detail how Amy had pursued him, how he'd rejected her advances, and how she'd retaliated with false accusations that cost him his job. If there hadn't been security cameras in that break room, I don't know what would have happened to me, he said. On the fourth day, during a brief recess, Dave got a call. His face changed as he listened. We need to get back to the courtroom immediately, he said, already gathering his papers. When court resumed, Dave requested permission to introduce new evidence. The judge asked the nature of the evidence. Security camera footage, Dave said, from the Clark residence on the night in question. The prosecutor objected immediately. This is the first we're hearing of any security footage. This is clearly an attempt to ambush the prosecution. Your Honor, we only just received this evidence ourselves, Dave countered. Mr. Clark installed a Nest camera in his garage last year, due to a series of break-ins in the neighborhood. The camera has a view of the kitchen door. Mr. Clark only recently realized it would have captured the defendant leaving on the night in question. The judge allowed it over the prosecutor's continued objections. Steve was called to the stand to authenticate the footage. He wouldn't look at me or at Amy. Mr. Clark, why are you just now coming forward with this evidence? The judge asked. Steve cleared his throat. I didn't think about the camera initially. It uploads to cloud storage that I rarely check, but certain inconsistencies in my younger daughter's account made me go back and look. The footage was played for the court. It clearly showed me leaving through the kitchen door at 9:37 p.m. Amy followed me to the door, visibly angry, but completely unharmed. No bruises on her wrists, no tears, no signs of distress. The timestamp matched exactly when she claimed I had assaulted her. The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order. Amy burst into tears. The prosecutor asked for a recess to confer with his witnesses. The judge denied it and instructed him to continue his cross-examination of Steve. Mr. Clark, is it possible this footage has been altered? No, Steve said firmly. It's uploaded directly to Nest's cloud servers. I accessed it using my account, downloaded it, and provided it to the defense exactly as it was recorded. The prosecutor tried a few more angles, but the damage was done. The video completely contradicted Amy's testimony about what happened that night and when. When court resumed the next day, the prosecutor announced they were dropping all charges. Just like that, it was over. The dismissal of charges didn't undo 9 months of hell. Didn't erase the damage to my reputation, my education, my career, my relationships. Didn't give me back the life I should have had. Amy faced consequences finally. She was charged with filing a false police report, falsifying evidence, and perjury. Being 18, and with the influence of her father's testimony on her behalf, she got a suspended sentence, probation, mandatory counseling, and community service. Nothing close to the punishment she deserved for what she put me through. The restitution the court ordered her to pay me, $7,500. It was a joke compared to what this had cost me financially, let alone emotionally and psychologically. Steve and Diane divorced shortly after the trial. He couldn't forgive her for pressuring him to support Amy's lies, even after he started having doubts. He reached out to me once about a month after the trial to apologize. Said he should have questioned things sooner. Should have checked the camera footage earlier. I appreciated the gesture, but it was too little, too late. Caddy tried to contact me repeatedly after the charges were dropped. Texts, calls, emails, messages through mutual friends. Said she was sorry for not believing me, for not giving me a chance to explain. Said she missed me, wanted to try again. I blocked her number, her email, all social media. 5 years together, and she believed the worst about me without a moment's hesitation. Some betrayals you can't come back from. My parents wanted to reconcile too. Said they were sorry for doubting me. But I couldn't forget the looks on their faces during those months. The constant questions, the unspoken suspicion. I keep them at arm's length now. Call on holidays, visit occasionally, but there's a distance that wasn't there before. The university wouldn't take me back, said the expulsion stood regardless of the criminal case outcome. I filed a lawsuit against them for wrongful expulsion and discrimination. It's still working its way through the courts 3 years later. My lawyer thinks we'll eventually settle for around $200,000, which sounds like a lot, but doesn't come close to covering what I lost. Not just tuition and scholarships, but future earnings, career advancement, networking opportunities. Rebuilding my life was the hardest part. I moved 2 states away. Started over at a different university, though I had to take out massive loans since my scholarships were gone. Worked night shifts at a warehouse to pay rent on a studio apartment barely big enough for a bed and desk. $14.50 an hour, no benefits. Loading boxes from 11 o'clock p. to 7 o'clock a.m. Then trying to stay awake through classes. Tyler moved out to join me about a year later. Got a job at the same warehouse while he finished his degree online. Having someone who knew me before, who stood by me through everything, helped more than I can say. Megan stays in touch. She was ostracized by her family for supporting me, but she doesn't regret it. I always knew Amy was trouble, she says, just didn't know how much. She finished her degree and moved to Seattle last year. We still talk weekly. It's been 3 years since the charges were dropped, almost 4 since that night in the kitchen. I finally got my degree last spring, found a decent job in software development. Not the career trajectory I planned on, but it pays the bills. $68,000 a year. Decent health insurance. 401k match. I'm slowly building a new life, one that isn't defined by what happened. Some days are harder than others. Some days I wake up angry at all that was taken from me. Other days, I'm just grateful to have been cleared, to have avoided the far worse fate that could have been mine if that camera footage hadn't existed. If Steve hadn't installed that camera, or if he hadn't gone looking through the footage, I'd likely be sitting in a cell right now. My entire future hinged on a piece of technology that could easily have not been there. The financial impact continues. I'm $86,000 in student loan debt. My credit was destroyed during those 9 months when I couldn't make payments on anything. My parents burned through most of their retirement savings on legal fees. Dave's final bill came to $73,500, worth every penny, but it'll take years for my family to recover. Dating is complicated. I'm always paranoid about how much to share and when. Tell a new girl too soon about what happened and she might see me as damaged goods or wonder if there was some truth to it. After all, wait too long and it feels like I'm hiding something important. I've had a few short relationships, but nothing serious. Trust doesn't come easily anymore. Olivia and I keep in touch, too. Her brother went through something similar to me, though on a smaller scale. We get together sometimes to talk about it. There's comfort in knowing someone else who understands. I check public records occasionally to see what Amy's up to. She finished her degree, moved to Portland, got a job in marketing, posts happy pictures on Instagram like she never tried to destroy someone's life. Her probation ended last year. Sometimes I wonder if she even feels guilty or if in her mind she was the wronged party somehow. The lawsuit against the university drags on. My lawyer says they're just running out the clock, hoping I'll get tired and settle for less. It's frustrating, but I'm not backing down. It's not even about the money anymore. It's about making them acknowledge what they did. But the best thing that happened, though, about 6 months ago, I adopted a dog from the shelter, a 3-year-old German Shepherd mix named Riley. Previous owner couldn't keep him due to deployment. He's got trust issues, too. So we're a good match. We've been inseparable. He guards the apartment, goes hiking with me on weekends. Best roommate I've had since Tyler. If there's a lesson in all this, I guess it's that you never really know people. The ones you expect to stand by you might be the first to believe the worst. And sometimes help comes from unexpected places, like your girlfriend's cousin who barely talked to you at family gatherings, or the security camera her dad installed and forgot about. I don't know if I'll ever fully get over what happened, but I'm doing my best not to let it define the rest of my life. I've got a decent apartment now, a job I don't hate, a loyal dog, and a small circle of friends I can trust. It's not the life I planned, but it's mine.